Yeah. So while we're waiting just to see if there are any stragglers that are going to come in, since I know most of you pretty well, I will just say welcome. It's so nice to see you in this venue. Some of you are doing my 5-week program right now, so I'm literally seeing you every day. So I'm amazed that on your day off, you're here with me. So thanks for that. And some of you I only get to see every so often. Bonnie, I haven't seen you in years. So so nice to be reconnecting and connecting and being together in the best way that we can be in this time. So most of you know my history, so I'm not going to spend so much time there. But I will say that, of course, my mission in life is to help people heal and to help people live their best lives, mostly using the vehicles of yoga and traditional Chinese medicine. But I think above even that, one of my deepest missions is, so there's Claudia from Mexico signing in. Hey, that's also my mom. So one of my missions above and beyond, of course, helping and facilitating for people to feel well and feel vibrant is to empower you to have the tools to both get well, to stay well, and maybe even more than that, to know what to do when something starts to go awry, because it's a tricky part of our human condition right now, that we live in such a world of immediacy that we're often waiting until the last minute, the last possible minute, to look for an intervention. And it's one of the reasons that I have fallen in love with essential oils. And Jim, who I'm really honored to have co-leading this webinar with me this morning, this evening, is actually the one that got me involved with this amazing company called doTERRA, with whom now I am a wellness advocate. I've been working with the essential oils for about 20 years, but I feel like I didn't really know what a true essential oil was until I picked up a bottle of doTERRA. Jim is the reason that I'm associated with this company. And so I would like to introduce you to my amazing colleague. We shared kind of a position with an integrative medical program in Chicago. He preceded me and I took his spot when he moved on. And he's just an all-around amazing, amazing guy. So Jim.
Thank you very much. I am honored to be part of this community. I recognize some of your faces from the last Essential Oils class that I saw Molly teach, and I'm honored to be able to share the stage with her today. So we have very similar stories in the sense that we're both acupuncturists, and I think our whys, why do we do what we do, is very much aligned. I'm very much focused on giving people the tools to feel good, and especially outside of like the conventional system that we're encountering in the West. And so I got into the essential oils because my wife was into it. And so like a good husband, I just did what she told me to do. But it was a perfect fit, because as an acupuncturist, we have a lot of, we can have a lot of influence on our clients in that hour, that hour at the session in the week, or once every other week or whatever. But the bigger concern is what happens when you leave the treatment room. And as a board certified Chinese medicine herbalist, the Chinese herbs were great, but the essential oils have proven to be even more powerful, effective, and accessible. So when we talk about things like lavender and peppermint, we all have some kind of connection to that. So I absolutely I love these essential oils and the plant medicine, but more importantly, I just love empowering people with knowledge and the tools and the resources so that you can really feel like you've got the power of health at your fingertips. And this digestion webinar is absolutely my favorite, because in Chinese medicine, there's a saying that says you have to treat the digestion first. And if anyone here has been suffering from digestive distress, you know that when your stomach isn't feeling well, or you don't want to eat, or you're afraid of what your body is going to do with the food that you're eating, that's a really precarious situation to be in. And fortunately, nature has given us a lot of great resources and tools to help us feel better. So I can't wait. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, so happy to have you here and to have this chance to work together again, which is really amazing. So give me a moment. I am still not the most graceful technological person, but I'm getting better. Let me share my screen with you. So as we are proceeding through the presentation, of course, we were just talking about the presentation before everyone signed on. So I went all the way in the middle. So we will have time for questions at the end of the presentation, but just as we're doing kind of in a journaling experience right now with my 5-week program, I highly recommend that if we're saying something that triggers either a curiosity or a specific question, feel free also to even a comment or feedback or a personal experience, please feel free to use the chat to share those things. I will have a recording of the webinar. And so even if we don't get to it in the questions or feedback, then we can always connect personally one-on-one sometime after the webinar. But I know it's a lot of information because Jim and I are nerds about what we do and we love what we want to do. So we want you to feel really educated and nourished by the information. So if something gets triggered, write it down in the chat. And that way we know we don't lose the opportunity to maybe address it at the end. So there's me, there's Jim, and here we go. We're gonna start. You might even want to close your eyes, but the question here is this you? Is it possible that you get overwhelmed? Are you feeling tired, tuggered, or sluggish? Totally not English. Are you feeling tired or sluggish? Or do you ever feel tired or sluggish? Is bloating part of your everyday experience as you're going along your day? Is it challenging to think clearly, foggy head? You know the information, you're at work, you know how to connect, but it feels like there's kind of a thin veil in between what you know and what you're able to really put out in the world. Has it been a while since you felt like your best self? Do you feel heavier regardless of whether or not you've actually gained weight? So if any of these questions, and I'm just going to add one because I feel like in this moment in particular, there's just an awful lot to digest in the world. So the question I would add here also is, do you feel like it's difficult to digest the world? You know, are you waking up and feeling like, oh, okay, how am I going to take all of this in from my day? So if any part of any of these questions touch any little part of you, then for sure you're in the right place. And even if not, as Jim said, from our holistic medical perspective, digestion, our ability to digest, you are what you eat. So everything about you reflects how you are digesting not only nutrients, but the entirety of life. And so that's why we chose this topic today. If any part of you touches any part or any part of any of those questions touch any little part of you, then here we go. We're going to give you some good information. We're going to give you some really wonderful tools. So how do you feel? Have you accepted that any of these things are just kind of part of how it goes? Or maybe better yet, the better question is are you not sure what in the world to do for these things that maybe are a problem, but they're not enough of a problem that they're stopping your everyday life, but you know intuitively that something isn't going so well. So the great news is, of course, is that we are going to give you a lot of really natural solutions to all of these aspects of digestion and for the health of the digestive system and for the healthy ability to digest all of life and be the vibrant, healthy person that you are meant to be.
Beautiful. So for me, my part of my story was I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease when I was like 19 or 20 years old and had horrible symptoms for many, many years. The pharmaceuticals kept making me worse and worse. And eventually, through the power of Chinese medicine and plant medicine, meditation, yoga, lifestyle stuff, I was able to heal myself, where it just, nature healed me, or however you want to say it, but the disease went away. And so what I've sort of distilled down over the years, I've looked back on that experience, is that there's three main pillars that I find for digestive health. The first one is to eliminate toxicity. So both the environmental toxins and supporting the body to better be able to naturally detoxify itself. The second pillar is to restore key components. So we're going to see things like probiotics for the microbiome and enzymes that are optimal for conversion of food to fuel. And then the last one is decreasing inflammation. So here we're going to see some even more powers of essential oils and stress management. And what the beauty of this is that when you heal your gut, you're also going to see that you'll improve your mood. You can boost your immune system. Vitality gets better. You look better. There's like a whole host of things that all respond well when your gut is functioning the way that it should. And so when we're looking at how does digestion affect your mood, well, the gut is considered to be the second brain, right? So 90% of the signals from your vagus nerve go from the gut up to the brain instead of the other way around. This is one of the things that I love about Chinese medicine, is that they consider the brain to be like a curious organ, you know, and they mention the power of the wisdom that comes from the heart and also from the gut. And now Western medicine is really supporting that, where we see that so many of the message, the direction of the signals go from the gut upwards instead of it all being sort of brain centric. And we see that digestion is going to impact the neurotransmitter creation. And neurotransmitters are basically chemical messengers that govern almost all of the things that happen in the body. They tell our body what to do and how to feel.
So here we get into the realm of what I like to call kind of like the curse word or the dirty word in medicine and in disease, and that is inflammation. And, you know, you could give me like a wave of fingers about how many times you've heard this in health magazines and health reports, and right, we have to do something about inflammation. We have to do something. Inflammation is a problem. What do we do about inflammation? And it has become sort of like the elephant in the room, where we know it exists, we know it's a problem, but we often don't know exactly what to do about it. And we often don't actually even understand what that means with regards to our well-being. So inflammation is actually a very healthy and necessary process in the body, right? When something either attacks or is under unnecessary stress, the blood vessels dilate, the capillaries become more permeable. And so we know it, right? If you sprain your ankle, there is a swelling, there's a redness, there's a heat. So it's sort of like the fire engines arrive to the fire. And that first response, as far as inflammation goes, is a healthy and necessary response. But essentially what is happening is that because of lifestyle factors and a lot of our nutrition sources are not allowing the body to move into this inflammation process and move out of the inflammation process in a healthy way. And so this uncontrolled inflammation plays a major role, as we know from every health article that you see circulating out there, in almost every really major and minor disease. And some of that feeling, right, of sluggishness, of a foggy brain, this is all due to low-grade inflammation. And so again, it's something normal that under abnormal circumstances behaves abnormally. And so as we are already starting to understand, because digestion is really the heart of our ability to be a healthy creature, inflammation in the digestive system is a real problem. And it's also a really easy place for there to be inflammation and lingering inflammation, probably from too much information. And as you can see here, inflammation, of course, is involved in most of the modern digestive diseases that we identify and that we name. And part of this vicious cycle is that the inflammation makes the disease process worse, and the disease process creates more inflammation. And so it seemingly is a cycle that is very difficult to get out of. And as Jim so beautifully mentioned, his experience with pharmaceuticals, essentially how the most of modern medicine approaches this is just to try to reduce with chemical components the inflammation, but rarely are they looking at what led the body to not have a healthful inflammatory response that went away on its own or went away with some kind of natural intervention. So we're going to start to hopefully build some tools and awareness about how to bring this inflammation process that can be really super dangerous back into a more healthy state and healthy function.
Yeah, so it's interesting to me because like I used to think of inflammation just as like pain, and I remember when I first learned that bloating was like a sign of inflammation, I was like pretty shocked. And when I was really sick, I was working in Evanston, I was there at North Shore, and I went and this doctor was like, well, you're not responding to these other meds, so we're gonna have to give you full blown like we're gonna shut down your immune system. And I was like, I'm working in a hospital system, like treating people all the time. I can't do this. And that's when the doctor fired me. She was like, if you're not going to follow the recommendations I have for you, I have to fire you as a patient. So type 111 at the chat if you've ever been fired by a doctor before. If you are, you're definitely in the right place. And so anyway, how do we get here, right? So we've got those environmental toxins, the chemical exposure. We've got antibiotics and antacids can just destroy the body. Of course, pharmaceuticals can have some unintended side effects that can be really problematic. Unhealthy food, poor lifestyle, vitamin deficiencies, and stress. These are all things that we have to address if you're having that chronic or even acute digestive distress. And just looking at some of the numbers here, 82,000 is the number of chemicals that are introduced in the last 50 years. Just because something's a chemical doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad, but there is a lot of oversight, and the body will recognize a lot of these things as foreign, right? We didn't evolve with these chemicals in our life. Our ancestors had never seen them before. So it puts extra stress on the body to deal with this new onslaught of chemical creations. $4.1 trillion, the global sale of chemicals worldwide. There's just not much government oversight. And then this is my favorite part, is that one day, a modern American is exposed to the same amount of chemicals from your grandparents' entire life. So in one day, living in 2021, you're exposed to way more chemicals than your grandparents ever saw. And so it's creating a situation where we're just overstimulated, right? Our bodies have not evolved to be able to handle all this. So when you think about like what we eat, what we wear, what we breathe, the couches we sit on, what's being off-gassed all around us, it just creates a really, really overwhelming situation. And so the question then becomes, what's this costing you, right? Is it costing you time? Is it costing you money from having to, go from doctor to doctor or trying to sort things out, or you've been swapping out your mattresses and the clothes, freedom. And the big ones are going to be mental health, emotional health, and physical health, right? All of this chemical onslaught, all of the compromised digestion, the inflammation, all of that can lead to heavy thoughts, negative thoughts, lack of motivation, and then that can compound to create a lot of problems down the road.
And so it can seem a little overwhelming. I mean, even as we were creating this presentation and I kept going through it and I thought, oh my gosh, it's so, you walk through the world, and I live on a farm. So most of my days is really filled with very natural things. And yet, you go to the grocery store and everything is wrapped in plastic. And even here in Italy, where the quality of food is still relatively good, it can be a little bit challenging to find a way to make these good choices. And so we enter into this discussion about maybe not being able to change everything all at once, but introducing some positive factors to help us feel less overwhelmed about beginning to make some of the right choices for our health. And of course, the number one way to do this is first just to reduce the toxic load. So again, paying attention to what you're eating, what you're drinking, what you're putting on your body, what all of the small print is on all the backs of the bottles, your shampoo, your soap, all of the products that are supposed to make you beautiful and young, and the fountain in life, and all of these things. But in reality, nature has all of these wonderful sort of miraculous things without, as Jim said, all of the chemical additives that in the end might give a temporary result, but we can't digest it, we can't assimilate it, the body doesn't know what to do with it. And it's kind of like going on a starvation diet. You know, you might lose weight, you might feel really great. Actually, when I was in medical school, I did the master cleanse. I don't know if any of you remember that. It's like 11 days, lemon juice, cayenne pepper, you know, this. And I mean, after I made it through the 5th and 6th day of crying and my heart falling out and I was starving, and then I entered into absolute complete bliss. But that deprivation, while be it might have some cleansing properties, right? When I began to eat, it was so easy for me to see how, just like when you have a lot of chemicals that the body doesn't know what to do with, how you can trend way far back into the deep end of the pool of unhealthy habits because of these factors that we just physically and naturally have no idea what to do with. And I'm going to add here, because one of my things right now really is this idea of digesting life, reducing toxic load, maybe getting up and doing your yoga practice before you turn on the news, maybe making a day where you don't turn on any devices so that you're not taking in so much information. So starting to think about it also not only from the physiological level, but really how to reduce this toxic load in all aspects of our life, just by taking some really simple, easy steps of awareness. And so number 2 is, of course, then if we take away things that we know are harmful to us, what do we replace them with? And of course, that would be whole food-based multivitamins, mineral support, things that our bodies aren't getting in our normal modern diet, but that our bodies need to be able to function at optimal health and function in a healthy way. So beginning to think about ways to re-nourish the body with supplements to help it return to its healthiest possible function. And here is a little chart. If we were moving away from, again, the realm of immediacy and sort of symptomatic medical intervention, we would be looking at a lifestyle where we're paying attention to make sure that toxins around us, whether it be toxic people or toxic environments or toxic foods and drinks that we're taking in, are reduced. Obviously, rest and managing stress well. So of course, we have to remember that it's not just stress, because stress is always going to exist, but it is our ability to confront stress in a healthy way and react to stress in a healthy way, which a lot of natural medicines are so supportive of this stress response in the body, exercising and eating right. And on the facilitation side, sort of the external side, would be being more educated, which is why you're here today, which is amazing. Hopefully walking away feeling like you've got more tools in your toolkit to be proactive in your medical care, again, rather than waiting until the moment where you almost can't bear it anymore, and then you're looking for the immediacy of some kind of miracle. And so here, just to begin to differentiate, I mean, the world, the market is filled with all sorts of different supplements and things that are purportedly good for us. But the truth is that the problem with most multivitamins and actually most supplements is that there are additive elements that are completely foreign to the body, which means that not only could they potentially cause more inflammation, but we have no idea how to process them or assimilate them. And so the level of stress that you are already encountering, maybe with not having exactly the right diet, not being able to release the toxic load from every area of your life, if you then are ingesting something that is, even if it's in part natural, has these other elements, you're adding to the problem in a way rather than not. And so one of the reasons that I have completely fallen in love with doTERRA, the company, and all of the products they're making, specifically the essential oils, but they also happen to make an amazing line of supplements and multivitamins, is that they are pure. Everything is pure. And again, as I said in the beginning, I felt like I had never met an essential oil until I picked up a bottle of doTERRA, and you smell it, you feel it, and you think, okay, now I'm actually in a field of lavender. Okay, now I've just cut open a lemon from the south of Italy, and your body absolutely recognizes it as something natural. And there's also a natural, it's so beautiful, there's a natural sensation of like, yes, I want this. You know, how many medicines that might be in your medicine cabinet right now could you say that about? You open the Dimetap bottle and all the memories of childhood come back. But when you're working with doTERRA products, the one thing that is for sure is that they are absolutely pure and absolutely digestible and assimilatable. I don't think that's actually a word, for the body and for your health.
Beautiful. And so number 3 is going to be repairing the microbiome. So not all bacteria are bad, right? So we need the healthy bacteria. And so the microbiome refers to the healthy or the good bacteria in the gut that are going to help you to feel good. We're seeing that so much of the immune system is regulated by the kind of bacteria that we have in our gut. And so one of the ways to know if your microbiome is working well or if you need help, right? If you've ever taken antibiotics or if you eat the standard American diet, chances are that your microbiome is going to be compromised. We know that in America here, over 70% of people have some form of digestive upset. And these symptoms are going to be bloating, constipation, diarrhea, weak immune system, and fatigue, among others. Like there's no reason that Chinese medicine, you know, it's very obvious now why Chinese medicine was like, we have to treat the digestion first, right? So how do we fix the microbiome in particular? Well, we've got to get that good bacteria back into your body. So fermented foods is one way. And then, you know, high quality probiotics is going to be the other. But if it comes to probiotics, you don't want to, you want to make sure you take the ones that can navigate past the stomach so that they can actually make it to the intestines where the probiotics are most needed.
And so here we take a look at these enzymes that essentially are making digestion easy for your body. And enzymes, I feel like, is another one of these trigger words like inflammation that we hear about. You know, you should take enzymes. Oh, you should make sure that you've got the right enzymes, eating food with enzymes. But do most of you actually know what enzymes do in the body? Or you just know they exist and they're supposedly good for you? Anyone kind of, yeah, some. I mean, if you've explored this realm, you might know, but enzymes are important actually for every single function in the body, because ultimately what they do is they lower the activation energy of any given function. What does that mean? Translate to in more plain English. Enzymes just make it easier for your body to do what it needs to do. And so if we're talking digestion, which obviously requires a good amount of energy, and what we're trying to do with digestion is actually build energy in the body, ultimately and eventually, a lack of enzymes in that process makes it so difficult for the body to do what it naturally knows how to do. And so obviously, when we have those enzymes, it's just easier for us to assimilate, digest, and do everything. And as Jim was saying, I know here we're talking standard American diet, but since I've been living in Europe for 8 years, and I know that we've got some Europeans on the call and also some South Americans on the call, I'm just going to expand that, because in the traveling that I've been doing in these years, yes, there are still some places where you find the ability to eat fresh foods, to eat really close to the earth, to not have the tendency to eat processed things, bagged things, frozen things. But really all over the world is kind of taking on this Americanism of immediacy and fast food. And so obviously when we trend into that pond, we are beginning to miss the ingestion of these enzymes that are so important. And a lot of the processing of the food that we're eating, pasteurization, sterilization, radiation, preservation, freezing, and microwaving, doesn't that give you a good appetite? When you read that line, aren't you like, ooh, yum, I want to eat those foods? No, of course you're not. But all of those things take away the really important enzymes that are present in natural food that your body needs. And so while we might, again, not be able to change everything in a day, in a moment, one of the ways that we can support your body back toward a more healthy state is to give it the enzymes that it needs to digest well. And so here we just take a look at another beautiful graphic as Jim sort of introduced you to before this, the gut-brain axis, right? When the brain is having its influence on motility, secretion, nutrient delivery, microbial balance, absorption, and the gut then in turn is helping the brain to work by healthy neurotransmitters, stress, anxiety regulation, mood regulation, behavior regulation. And so kind of another reason that we start getting, again, these sort of low-grade inflammatory, foggy brain and not feeling so good, maybe not even being able to access our normal talents and vibrance, because if the gut and the stomach are getting kind of bogged down by things that they don't know how to process and they don't have the right elements to process what they're receiving, that eventually cycles back around all the way back up to the brain and really distributing itself through all aspects of your well-being and your body to affect the way that we truly are living and feeling.
Awesome. And so number 5 is going to be regulating inflammation, right? So once again, the couple ways to do this is, the first one is pattern interruption. And this is like all the great lifestyle things that we like to do, you know, exercise, yoga, meditation, journaling, vacations, all those things are great. Acupuncture treatments are great to disrupt that pattern. So you find yourself cycling in that loop over and over and over again. And we want to have tools and the ability to just like interrupt that pattern. The same thing is true when it comes to those inflammatory cycles. And then the second one is going to be to give the body the molecules that it needs to better regulate itself. And I loved how Molly was breaking down inflammation, because there's a healthy inflammation and then an unhealthy inflammation. And I think that really the imbalance there is like, for chronic inflammatory conditions, it's because the body is deficient or lacking like a proper on-off switch. And so these molecules that we're talking about are really about supporting the body to be able to have a proper functioning on-off switch. And so this is going to be really, like I said earlier, in a harsh contrast to some of the pharmaceuticals where their only really approach is to say, okay, we just have to completely suppress your immune system. And so the good news is that there's amazing products that are going to do both of these things for the inflammation. So essential oils are going to be our go-to remedies to interrupt those patterns of unhealthy mind, body, and spirit patterns. And the chemical constituents in these essential oils have been shown to have anti-inflammatory and immune regulating properties. So you're going to get both of like this powerful synergy of pattern interruption along with the introduction of these healing molecules that the body needs.
And so what is an essential oil? So I know that some of you on the call today are already well into your essential oil living life. But for those of you who might be getting your first kind of official introduction to these beautiful and powerful little plant medicines, essentially what an essential oil is, that was a lot of essentials in the same sentence, probably too many, is the essence of what makes a plant unique. So the aromatic compounds that give any plant its character. And how we get the essential oils is either through usually steam distillation or cold pressing the plants to extract the essence, the heart of what makes the plant both medicinal and also what makes the plant, again, very unique. And the essential oils, once they go through this distillation process, or actually the plants, once they go through this distillation process, the essential oil itself is 50 to 70 times more potent and powerful than the plant itself. And here is one of my favorite anecdotal things to talk about, because I spend a lot of time in Greece in these years. And the root word in Greek for pharmaceutical, for pharmacy, is pharmaka. And here we look a little bit at this idea, and I know we talked about it in the immunity webinar again, but I think that we can't talk about it enough when we're talking about our well-being. And pharmaka actually in ancient Greek means both medicine and poison. And so we look to nature, yes, as medicine. If you watch any animal, right, when they have an upset stomach, they go and sniff around and they know exactly what to eat and how much to eat. So what we're doing for ourselves as human beings is we are taking these plants that we know what their medicinal qualities are, we're putting it into a really pure and potent form that we then can incorporate into any daily wellness routine at a medicinal dose to impact our health and to bring our health back to a better place. And so how the oils work, of course, depends on the quality of oils and how you're going to apply them. And essential oils, we typically use 3 methods of application, either aromatically, topically, and ingesting as we do a supplement. And so aromatic use is the one that we're most familiar with. Most of us have had some interaction with aromatherapy. And aromatherapy definitely helps to clean and purify the air. It creates an ambiance of well-being, depending on what oil or what group of oils you're diffusing. And again, I bring you back to that feeling, nature really reveals herself so beautifully. If you imagine walking through a lavender field and taking a big deep breath in, and how your body feels when you do that, or if you're walking through a pine forest and you do the same, you're going to get a magnificent sensation. But the sensations, right, the qualities of the aromatic presence of those plants is going to have a completely different effect on the body. So diffusing and aromatherapy is an amazing way to use these oils, not only to purify and cleanse the air, but also to bring the medicinal qualities to us. Most essential oils, when they're diffused, do have a positive effect on the mood. But for me, more fun than that, again, as kind of a medical and health nerd, is that when we breathe in an essential oil, it's triggering the olfactory bulb that is part of the limbic system in the brain. And the limbic system is important in processing and storing emotions. It has an effect on heart rate and respiration. It's associated with long-term memory. And so here, if you can imagine the simple act of breathing in a medicinal quality, essential, pure essential oil, is reaching all of the deepest levels of our functioning bodily systems. And for me, it kind of blows my mind. And I, again, as one of these sort of nerds, especially about essential oils, every day I create a new mix for my family in the diffuser. And one, I try to make them guess what's in it. But two, it's really beautiful and interesting to have this, present and positive feedback about how these medicinal qualities just diffused into our air can have such a powerful effect on our well-being. Applying the oils topically. And again, here, just to reiterate the point that not all oils are created equally. A lot of the stuff, unfortunately, that you buy on the general market or even at Whole Foods have a lot of additives. And so when we start talking about having real direct contact with the body, I just want to invite you to err on the side of caution, because 50 to 70 times more potent than a plant itself applied to the body, we really need to know that what is being applied is a pure product. But the oils can be put on the skin. One of the ways that I got involved in essential oils was when I had my medical practice in Chicago, and not only to create the ambiance in the treatment room and also, rubbing hands and letting patients smell, but on the acupuncture points when you've really identified a pattern and you can use the oils topically more specifically like this. Some of the oils in their pure form are incredibly powerful and require a carrier oil. So just a little bit of dilution so that they aren't harmful to the skin. But these are all things that once you enter into the world of using the essential oils, someone like myself or Jim as a wellness advocate, these are the kinds of things that we will guide you through one-on-one to create a routine in a knowledgeable way for your well-being and for your digestive well-being. And then of course, the third is as a supplement to consume. And here it looks like a cup of chai tea, which is my favorite, putting some copaiba in, which is a Brazilian wood resin. I never actually thought about putting that into my chai tea. I'm usually going for more clove and more cinnamon, but okay. It's an incredibly powerful oil that we'll talk about. I love it. But the oils, again, if they're pure, can be consumed and can be an amazing way to, again, supplement the body's ability to do what it knows how to do, but often what it has forgotten how to do.
Thank you for that, Molly. So let's take a look at how we could put all this together into an easy routine so that your digestion and health can be really optimized. So it starts for us with the lifelong vitality pack. Now, when I first got started with doTERRA, I was like super anti-supplements, never liked it, didn't want it. I was like, Chinese medicine's not, not into this. Like, it's not part of it. I don't want anything to do with it. But I started taking it as I started to have more trust and confidence in the company and understanding what was going on. And at the same time, I actually started to do some more research into like just nutrition. And there's been a bunch of studies, maybe you guys have seen this, type in the chat if you have, that the review of the nutritional component of food now compared to how it was 50 years ago. And I think it was oranges where they did a big study, and they said that typical orange now has about 25% of the nutritional content of an orange 100 years ago. And you can look at, modern industrial farming practices, changes in the soil, and all of that. And so the reality is that even if you're eating a perfect diet, you're still most likely not even getting all of the nutrients that you need. And so supplementation has become even more important these days. So what we're going to see in this lifelong vitality pack is 3 different products: the alpha CRS, the omegas, and the microplex. And so the microplex, this is going to be like salad in a bottle. This is going to have all of the 22 essential vitamins and minerals that you need. It's wrapped in like a food complex, a food nutrient complex. So the body is going to treat it as food. And this is going to be in stark contrast to something that you might get at like GNC, where the body is like fighting it and struggling with how to deal with, these chemical sort of synthetic made vitamins that you can get when you go to Costco or like Walmart or something. You see a bottle of vitamins for like $3, right? This is gonna be very, very different. So the body's gonna treat it as food. And what's also great is each one of these different vitamin packs, they also have the 100% pure food grade essential oils in there as well. So the Microplex is going to be a salad in a bottle. This one, the Alpha CRS, is the one that I get the most excited about. This is going to be like your anti-aging blend. This is going to have things like resveratrol and milk thistle, stuff to really support mitochondria growth, stuff that's going to help to support the liver and the kidneys. This is going to be like the big one that really just like to help to keep you young and keep you feeling vibrant. And this is like energy in a bottle. And then the last one is going to be the omegas. So the XC omegas, these are going to have the perfect balance of the fatty acids, the omegas 3, 6s, and 9s. And we know that the fatty acids are super important when it comes to like cholesterol regulation, hormone regulation, brain health, keeping the nerves and the nervous system balanced and regulated. And especially here in America, the fatty acid balance is like totally out of sorts. And what's great about this one is that because it has some of the essential oils in there as well, it keeps it from going rancid. So what we hear a lot of times is people who are like, I've taken vitamins, I hate vitamins. I get this like terrible reflux. My body doesn't process it well. When we get them on this doTERRA complex, people have no problems with it and they feel really, really great. And then 2 other products that I like, we talked about, in creating this class, Molly and I wanted to really make sure that even if you didn't get any of the vitamins or any of the essential oils, that you would still have phenomenal tools and resources to help regulate your health and your digestion system in particular. And so when it comes to the probiotics, right, if you start eating a bunch of fermented foods, the miso, the kombucha, right, that's going to help. But doTERRA makes it really easy with this PB Assist. And so this is going to be their probiotic. It's wrapped, it's encapsulated so that it can navigate through the stomach. It has prebiotic food, which is basically nutrients that the probiotics need. So we're going to have greater proliferation in the intestines of these healthy probiotics. And then the last of the supplement products that I absolutely love, this might be my favorite product of all, is the Terrazymes. So for those of you that are into Chinese medicine and acupuncture, this is like digestive qi, digestive energy, your spleen qi in a bottle. So this is like, it makes all of the breaking down of the food that much easier. There are all sorts of digestive enzymes out there on the market. This one I find is the most comprehensive, and it also has their digestive blend of essential oils. So not only are you getting things like the lipase, the protease, and the amylase to break down the fats, proteins, and carbohydrates, but you're also getting those essential oils that also help to decrease bloating and regulate the digestive system. So I absolutely love these with meals. One is great if you're just sort of eating a regular diet. If you know that you're eating something that's a little bit more challenging for your digestive system, you can take 2 or 3 of these, and it just makes it so much easier for the body.
And so now we're going to get into some of the essential oils that can also assist in the process of more healthful digestion and all of the aspects that we've talked about that surround it: stress reduction, stress management. But I want to pause for a second because, like Jim said in the beginning, when I started working with doTERRA, and actually not even when I started working with doTERRA, I mean, really from the very beginning for me, I was always a little bit like, oh, supplements, no, if you really know how to be healthy and you know how to eat right and you know how to do the right things, then you shouldn't really need supplementation. But hopefully not in a doomsday sort of way, but hopefully with some of the bigger picture that we're putting together today about all that digestion encompasses when we approach. And Jim, I'm kind of pulling you into this unknowingly. We didn't discuss this ahead of time, but when we talk about supplementation, it reminds me of something that I used to say to my patients when I was practicing medicine in Chicago, and they would ask me, oh, how long do I need to come? How long do I need to take the herbs? And I said, I really love you. but for sure, I don't want to see you for the rest of my life, right? I want to get you better, and I want to get you able and capable to look after yourself, obviously, without any other extraordinary factors. And in a lot of ways, knowing and seeing and now experiencing these really pure supplements from doTERRA kind of has helped me to ease back into the process of understanding that it isn't necessarily that we're trying to show you and tell you what you need to take because it's missing and there's nothing else we can do. But you can also think of them as facilitators toward better health. And what eventually happens with supplementation, also with the incorporation of essential oils, I know I've got a lot of yogis in the group, so I'm sure that you've experienced this with your yoga practice, is that the more healthy your body feels, the easier it is for you to make healthy choices, meaning that your ability to add something like a supplement that is really good and helpful for the body increases your well-being, which by just a slight increase makes you naturally and spontaneously start making better choices about your life. And so if you are like I used to be, thinking, oh, the supplements, the bottles, then I just invite you to think about it kind of as a partnership where these things can help you little by little step into this vibrant place where, yes, eventually maybe you do no longer need the supplements. You're able to change your diet extensively enough. You're able to change your environment extensively enough. But I invite you, just even if it's imaginarily during this webinar, if you have any of that kind of supplements, to welcome it in as like, wow, I am giving my body something it absolutely needs to do what it knows how to do. And the more it's able to do that, the more I am going to naturally make better choices about almost everything in my life. So sorry for that little sideshow, but Digest Zen is an amazing essential oil. So it's one of doTERRA's blends. And if you look down here, maybe you were looking while I was giving my little stint about supplements, that in the Digest Zen, there's anise, there's peppermint, there's ginger, there's caraway, coriander, tarragon. And if you ever think about like the, grandmother's natural medicine cabinet, all of these are maybe elements you've thought of separately for digestion. And what has doTERRA done? They've gone and made an amazing blend of all of them together. So of course, the Digest Zen is supporting healthy digestion. It's helping the stomach to assimilate and feel settled once it has received food to process. Just as a side note again here, I've used it when my kids have gotten kind of sick, stomach flu-y things, and it really helps to settle things down. It can be ingested. You can put a drop in a glass of water. On occasion, I've also just rubbed it on my low belly if need be, but it's a really beautiful, just like the name suggests, Digest Zen in all of the digestive processes. Lavender, another single oil that has an incredibly broad spectrum. So lavender, again, you can imagine walking through a lavender field, how that might feel as you're taking a huge whiff of lavender filled air in. So the lavender can be taken internally to do the same harmonious actions that it has when it's used in the aroma therapy realm. But the lavender, of course, is very calming. It's very harmonizing. It's very equalizing. And so not only for digestion directly, but lavender, in case you haven't already gone there yourself, is an amazing supplement to our stress management. Aromatherapy in an environment where you're working, in an environment where there's stress before you go to bed, to help you sleep better, so that rest helps you digest life better. And lemon essential oil, again, a lemon from the south of Italy, cut it open, squeeze the juice, smell it. Lemon has an incredible purifying quality. It's really cleansing. The Italians actually put a half a lemon in their dishwater rather than bothering with soap. And at first it was another thing that I was like, really, you can do that? But actually you can do that. And lemon has the same quality for the body. So really opening and stimulating. In traditional Chinese medicine, it kind of opens the qi mechanism of the digestive system. And so we often take a drop of lemon in a glass of water to begin the day, to again kind of open the digestive mechanism, to detoxify, to cleanse the body of residue, to start a new day fresh.
Beautiful. And now we're going to get to look at On Guard. So those of you that were part of the immunity webinar last month are going to be familiar with On Guard. And if you have this already and you've been using it, I'd love to see you, type in the chat what, your favorite part or your favorite way to use On Guard. On Guard, this is going to be our protective blend. So this is going to have great protection against environmental threats when taken internally. You can put it in the diffuser. In my acupuncture office, I was diffusing this exclusively because we know that we've got in the wild orange, the clove, the cinnamon, the eucalyptus, rosemary, we've got antiviral, antibacterial properties to that. So really flooding the air with these constituents is going to be amazing. And again, when it comes to the digestion, what we're talking about is trying to create an environment that makes your body have the easiest time possible to balance and to thrive. And so if your immune system isn't preoccupied with fighting off all of these invaders, then your body can have more energy to put towards creating those neurotransmitters, creating those enzymes, and helping your body to digest really well. And so having On Guard around is absolutely a must for me. And then the last one that we're going to look at is frankincense. So frankincense, this one is we call the king of all oils. We can see that it has a whole host of effects, from neuroprotective to helping with the skin and blemishes, can seem to improve mitochondria health in the body, and really support healthy cellular function. So frankincense is absolutely tremendous for whatever ails you. There's a joke in doTERRA that if you don't know what to use frankincense, because it's so versatile and it's so sort of homeostasis driving, helping the body to find its natural balance.
And again, I know I always talk too much, but just as a funny anecdote about the king of all oils, and if you don't know what to do, use frankincense. My daughter was cleaning the hoofs of her horse the other day, and she said, "Molly, could you give me a few oils that are really healthy for my horse that I can put on her hooves with the grease that I clean?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, of course." And so, of course, the first thing I grabbed was frankincense, because I think, okay, well, frankincense is good for everything. And she absolutely loved it. So, oh, sorry, Jim, I totally interrupted you. This is still your line in the play.
Oh, it's all good. Are you kidding? I love hearing your stories. Your stories are the best, because you're just like, oh yeah, on my farm in Italy, like, oh, my daughter had an issue with her horse. And I think some of us are like, oh yeah, we totally know what that's like.
Yeah. Okay.
I love it. So so this slide is really just for a daily foundation to give you a sense of, like, because we've covered a lot of ground already, just to give you a sense of what a day using these products could look like. And again, if you have been stuck in a pattern or finding yourself in a rut, or the last year has been really, really challenging for you, I just keep coming back all the time to the importance of pattern interruption. And so every time that you're using one of these products throughout the day, you're interrupting those old patterns. You're allowing yourself to create new pathways for this new you that you want. And so it might seem like a lot, but when you're talking about training and creating new rhythms in the body, new energy pathways, this amount of pattern interruption really is going to help to create a powerful way of living, in a very short period of time.
Amazing. And so this one of my favorite images, if you've ever done any kind of energy healing or physiological testing for substances, you can kind of imagine the traditional medicine cabinet. And if you look at that left side of the screen, just how it makes you feel, if you look at it and then close your eyes and imagine it and feel how that resonates in the body, versus the right side, knowing that you really truly have nature's medicine cabinet and looking and feeling how that resonates through the body, through the heart, through the mind.
Awesome. So just to recap here, so we've got the three pathways, right? So we've talked about eliminating toxicity, restoring those key components, and decreasing inflammation. So those are going to be the three things. And when you add all of that up, you're going to get a body that has all that it needs to heal and to thrive, to break those old cycles, and to allow yourself to have that optimal immune response, and also, you know, the ability to break down your food and to use it for all of your glory and wonderfulness.
Just like her.
Exactly, exactly. And so now you've got a choice, right? Are you ready to start feeling good again? And you might be wondering, well, how do I get started with this? So when we are, there's three ways to get the oils with doTERRA. So the first one is retail. You guys are here because Molly loves you. Molly will never allow you to buy the essential oils retail. Friends don't let friends buy retail and spend that extra money. And so the other way to do it, doTERRA works a lot like Costco, where you can, for 35 bucks, you get a wholesale membership, and that's going to give you access to wholesale pricing for the year. And so this is a nice option, but it's still not the best way to get started with the oils. The best way is to get started with an enrollment kit. And when you do that, doTERRA is going to waive that $35. You're going to get access to that wholesale pricing. And when you start with the enrollment kit, that enrollment kit is actually going to be priced at below wholesale pricing. So there are a bunch of different enrollment kits to get started. These, we're going to show you just a couple of examples that are here in America. So because we have a worldwide audience, depending on your market, they're going to look a little bit different. Some of the names might be a little different. Just connect with Molly and she'll be happy to connect with you and figure out what makes sense with where you're located. This first one is the Healthy Habits Kit. And this one is, you know, we chose this one because it's really phenomenal to address all of those digestive approaches that we've talked about. It's going to come with the vitamins, the LLV. You've got the Terrazymes, you've got the PB Assist, the probiotic, the Deep Blue Rub. If you have any aches or pains, the Deep Blue Rub is amazing. And then you're going to get 5 ml. Those are the small bottles of the lavender, lemon, frankincense balance, which we didn't talk about. It's one of my absolute favorite. It helps to regulate the mind. It's very calming, very grounding blend. And then of course the On Guard. And so this one, the wholesale, the enrollment kit pricing is just $195. And then we've got the Natural Solutions Kit. And so this one, if you are interested in getting that whole home makeover, if you're like, you know what, in talking about toxicity, I realized that I just need to like a total restart. We're here in 2021. I want to just like clean out all of the products that I've been using, clean out my medicine cabinet. This is absolutely the best way to get started. This is the kit that I enrolled with. It's going to have not giant, but the bigger size version of all of these that you can see here: the lavender, lemon, peppermint, frankincense, tea tree, wild orange, balance, Digestion, aroma touch, serenity, and breathe. You've got the full On Guard collection, and then a whole host of other products. And listen, truth be told, when I got this Natural Solutions Kit, the thing that I was most excited about was the stuff that I understood how to use, which was like the toothpaste and the soap. Because the oils were like, it was still a little overwhelming. I hadn't had the full consult yet. And this one, of course, comes with a really beautiful diffuser. So this one is great because it's especially for those of you that are heads of household, you've got, you know, spouses or kids around. You can start introducing them to this natural lifestyle with a bunch of different products that are all really easily accessible. And when you get started, Molly's going to visit with you. She's going to make sure that, you know, go over what you got, teach you how to use it. And so all of that comes with just, you know, being a part of our doTERRA community.
Great. Thanks, Jim. Wonderful. So I'll take that screen away so I can see your beautiful faces again. So I know quite a bit of information, but hopefully a well-rounded look at, you know, where the problematic factors are, and hopefully already having you feel a little bit more empowered that there are some real natural solutions to help and to help us navigate, especially this particularly interesting moment in time. But now we would love to hear from you. So questions, opening the floor to questions, to comments, to feedback, to sharing of your good experiences with the oils. Don't be shy. I see everyone got really comfortable, but we also didn't scare you away yet. So,
Molly,
yeah.
can you talk a little bit about the balance
Yeah.
oil?
Yeah. Well, since Jim said, I mean, I actually really love the balance as well, but since Jim very clearly said it's one of his absolute favorites,
Okay.
I'm going to
Jim.
let him tell you why.
Sorry, I missed the question. I was answering the one about breastfeeding. Which product are we talking about? The Terrazymes?
The balance.
Balance. Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
balance.
Did it
Yeah,
used to be called something else?
I'm
Do you
sorry.
know? Did it used to be called something else?
In America, it's always been balance, as far as I know.
Okay.
Sometimes, like the Digestion is called something different in Europe. I don't remember what it is. But balance is, what is it?
Zengest.
Oh, Zengest is what it's called in Europe. But balance is, it's always been balance. It's got like whole wood. It's really nice. I don't have it in front of me here, but part of why I really like it, like especially in the clinical setting, I didn't want to like open 10 different bottles and have my patients smell and choose their favorite ones. And so I would just try to choose like which ones are really well tolerated and that people enjoy. And about like On Guard and the diffuser, I never had a complaint, and balance, people always liked it. I've never heard anyone who said that they didn't like it.
Okay. Thanks.
Nice. Other questions? Ava, I know you've got baby against your chest, but just in case, you can take a look at the chat. Jim responded to your question, but if you have any other questions, comments, feedback, good, informative. I mean, most of you are family to me, and Jim is right. I do love you. So if there's something that I can share with you to benefit any aspect of your well-being, and many of you have been on retreats with me and workshops with me, so you've got your whole family. So don't hesitate also to just open your microphone and tell us what you thought of our presentation. Good, bad, thumbs up, thumbs down. More information.
Very informative.
Okay. Great. I got a
was
thumbs up
great.
from Virginia. Sara, hai bisogno un momento. Sì, okay.
Molly, one of the things that occurs to me that we didn't even talk about is deep breathing, right? And certainly like that big belly breathing that you do in yoga, all of that movement of the diaphragm also really helps to break those patterns and to support good digestion as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm leading a 5-week program right now, following the 5 elements of traditional Chinese medicine. And of course, we started with the earth element, which is related to the spleen and stomach in traditional Chinese medicine. And so many yoga practices, and as Jim is saying, breathing exercises, really simple things that don't require you to take an hour and a half yoga practice. But if you, again, take the time to either have a consultation with me, I am available to talk with you one-on-one, as Jim was outlining at the end of the presentation. To have these cool things in your home is one thing, but to have a strategy that is created really for you and your needs is a whole other thing. And I think, as we've both alluded to, the essential oils have brought a lot of joy into our lives because they are amazing medicines, but they're also amazing empowerment tools for our patients, for our students, and with that joy element and with a specified routine for you and your family, it really makes the whole process of healing and coming into better health really joyful and kind of celebratory. And all of those little elements like deep breathing, and these are things that we can talk about and incorporate into your life in ways that are both digestible and also maintainable, which is also, of course, the key to any health ritual. Great. Anyone else? I mean, I see that you don't want to go away, so let me hear your beautiful voices. Bonnie?
iPad 2 open as a question.
Yeah.
Eva.
Hi. I was wondering if you can use the essential oils also for the baby, because we have a little one who has like some digestive problems, but she's only like almost 4 months old. Is it safe to use for her as well?
Yes, absolutely. I see Jim shaking his head as well. Do you want to speak to that, Jim?
Sure, I'd love to. Yeah, congratulations on the 4-month-old. So
Thank you.
when we're using them for pediatrics and for babies, especially like brand newborns, you want to just dilute the oil. So one of the ways that we prefer to use to dilute them is with coconut oil, especially fractionated coconut oil, because it stays liquid and it's really easy to use. So you would put like 1 drop and then like one part essential oil and probably 20 to 30 parts coconut oil. So you can really dilute it quite a bit. It just depends on what's happening. You can always experiment with the dilution ratio to make sure you're getting the effect that you want, but it's a good idea to start off more diluted, and then if you need to have a little bit more strength, you can just change the dilution. You make it a little bit stronger, but for sure it's safe, especially topically. We see a lot of with digestive stuff, some sleeping issues as well.
Yeah.
Putting the oils on the bottoms of the feet is a really good spot to put it. It's the skin is a little bit tougher there, so there's less likely to be any kind of reaction, and the body also absorbs the oils really well there.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And Eva, if you would like, sorry, I know you're navigating your family, your husband, your baby. We can also, as I keep mentioning, for your family specifically, we can schedule a separate call,
Yes,
and that way we can really fine tune what would be perfect for
Yes,
your
I have a lot of
well-being.
specific questions as well, because I
Yeah.
have the Crohn's disease as well, so it would be nice to just talk to you in person, and that we can look at the details really
wonderful.
well.
So we just make an appointment together, and we can
Perfect.
get more specific for you. Perfect.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm so happy you're here today. Bonnie, there she is. I've been seeing an internet. Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir.
Yeah, perfect. I love preaching to the choir. I love it. If only my guitar wouldn't have delays, I could like really preach to the the choir. Bonnie, are you using essential oils in your routine with your integrative physician?
You know what? Just lavender and a little bit of thieves. That's really it. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, of course you know now that I'm elbow deep in the world, and so never hesitate to reach out.
For sure.
Anyway, it's so nice to see you again.
It's good to see you too.
Thanks. Any other questions? Julie, I saw your comment about the gut-brain axis. So we're getting closer there with our next element, actually. But pattern interruption, we've been talking a lot about in our yoga practice, the idea of responding to life rather than reacting to life. And a good bit of this pattern interruption is simply that, to regain an awareness, to know when we have sort of just become the passenger of our own existence, and be able to get off at the next bus stop, to re-collaborate our awareness, to again begin responding to life rather than just habitually reacting. So a lot of layers there at the physiological level, yes, but obviously the emotional and psychological level with pattern interruption and responsiveness versus reactiveness. So great. Thanks, Jenna. It's always wonderful to have you nearby. So wonderful. I think if no one else wants to raise their voice, I know we always just like to stay together. We could probably sit on Zoom for another 2 hours and sip on some tea and, and just chat. But I also know that everyone probably has other aspects of your life to tend to. So again, Jim, thank you so much for being here with me and for adding your knowledge and passion and joy to this community and to the discussion. And thank you so much for everyone, to everyone for signing on and being together. And just to reiterate, all you need to do is reach out. And we come together, we have a deeper discussion about what you got from this, what you might need as far as interventions or better understanding. And we go from there. Okay.
Thank you so much. It was an honor to be here.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks
Happy to-
everybody so much for being here. And I will have a recording of this available that I'll send out to those of you who registered in case you would like to see any of it again. Okay, just to
Thank you.
study. Yeah.